Clara's story. In the bustling city of Marindale, there was a little girl named Clara. Her story didn't begin with fairy tales or laughter. It started with tears. The day Clara was born, her mother never opened her eyes again. Complications, the doctor said. Just like that, her father Daniel became both father and mother. Daniel was shattered. The love of his life was gone, and now he was this tiny baby with innocent eyes staring at him. He swore to himself, "I'll never remarry. Clara is all I need. No one is taking her away from me." But raising a baby alone isn't easy. To help, Daniel's old mother, Grandma Ruth, moved in. And oh, did Ruth love Clara. She practically wrapped her entire world around her granddaughter. Clara, in turn, adored her grandmother more than anyone else. You'd never see one without the other. Life seemed to balance itself again. Daniel found comfort watching his daughter laugh in Ruth's arms. For a while, their home was filled with peace. But fate? Fate always knows how to show up uninvited. One night, when Daniel had traveled for business, tragedy struck. The house went dark. Power outage. Ruth told little Clara, who was only 5 years old, to stay in the living room while she went to start the generator. But as she made her way out in the dark, her foot slipped and she crashed hard to the floor. Clara, hearing the thud, screamed, "Grandma! Grandma!" She ran into the darkness and found her precious Ruth lying on the ground, clutching her leg. With a shaky voice, Ruth forced a smile and said, "I'm okay, sweetheart. Don't cry." But her trembling body betrayed her words. The lights eventually came back, and Ruth, weak and in pain, managed to crawl back inside. But that night, they went to bed hungry. Clara lay beside her grandmother, listening to her uneven breaths, tears rolling silently down her cheeks. The next morning, Daniel came back. When he heard what happened, he was devastated. They put Ruth on medication, praying for recovery. But 3 weeks later, Clara found herself crying over her grandmother's lifeless body. Ruth had passed away in her sleep. Clara's little world collapsed. Daniel cried like a man who had failed everyone he loved. He blamed himself for traveling that night. He blamed himself for not protecting his mother. He blamed himself for everything. Life dragged on, heavy and colorless. Then, when Clara turned 6, Daniel made a decision that would change everything. Against his earlier vow, he remarried. Her new stepmother, Sophia, was beautiful, graceful, and appeared so kind-hearted. Daniel thought he'd hit the jackpot. Finally, a woman who will love my Clara like her own, he told himself. Ha! If only he knew. For a short while, Sophia played the role of the caring wife and stepmother perfectly. She even called Clara my little angel. But the moment she gave birth to her own daughter Maya, the mask slipped. Sophia's true colors were darker than night. Whenever Clara tried to play with her baby sister, Sophia would slap her hand away. "Don't touch my child. I don't want your bad luck near her. You're the reason your mother died." Clara froze each time those cruel words cut through her. She was just a child, but her stepmother had already branded her a curse. Daniel tried. Oh, he tried to talk sense into Sophia. "Sophia, both Clara and Maya are my daughters. Please, don't treat them differently." But Sophia would glare at him like he was the biggest fool alive. "Your daughter? Never. She's not mine. She's a walking curse, Daniel. Don't ever bring her talk up to me again unless you want trouble." And trouble? She meant it. Poor Clara became the household slave. At 10 years old, she was scrubbing floors, washing piles of laundry, and cooking for the entire family. When she finished her chores, Sophia invented impossible ones. "Fill this basket with water," she demanded one day, smirking because she knew it was impossible. Beside her, little Maya giggled, clapping her hands. "Do it, slave! Do it!" Clara cried silently while struggling. How hard she tried. "Nothing, please, Sophia." Daniel saw it all. His daughter's tears, her bruised little hands, the cruelty in his wife's eyes. But instead of fighting harder, he began to drown himself in alcohol. He came home late, reeking of alcohol, avoiding his daughter's gaze because the guilt was too heavy. Years flew by. Clara grew into a beautiful young girl, but her life remained the same. Nothing but chores and insults. Meanwhile, Maya was treated like royalty, pampered and adored, spoiled to the core. But there was one light in Clara's world: her father. On rare mornings, before Sophia woke up, Daniel would quietly find Clara in the kitchen already, busy with chores. He'd place a hand on her shoulder and whisper, "Clara, listen to me. I see everything you go through, and it breaks me. But don't ever believe you are a mistake. You're not cursed. One day, all this pain will turn into your greatest strength." Clara would nod, swallowing back her tears, and hug him tightly. "I love you, Daddy," she whispered, holding on to those words like lifelines. Because in that house of cruelty, Daniel's words were the only hope keeping her alive. But little did Clara know, Sophia wasn't done yet. She had plans, cruel plans, that would make Clara's life even more unbearable.
One hot afternoon, Clara was bent over a mountain of dirty clothes by the backyard tap, her frail hands red from soap and water. Her back ached, but she dared not rest, because if Sophia caught her idling, she'd hear curses that could peel paint off the wall. Just then, knock, knock, knock! The loud banging on the front gate startled her. Quickly, she dropped the cloth she was scrubbing and ran to the gate, wiping her wet hands on her faded skirt. To her surprise, 4 elderly men stood outside, dressed in long traditional robes, their faces serious. "Good afternoon, sir," Clara greeted politely, bowing her head. "Please, who are you looking for? My parents aren't at home." One of the elders stepped forward. His voice was heavy. "Are you Clara?" "Yes, I am," she replied, eyes wide with worry. "Your father sent us," the man said gravely. "Father? Sent them? But how?" Curiosity and a rising fear made her unlock the gate. She let them in, nervously dusting her hands on her skirt. The elders had barely sat down in the living room when Sophia walked in, hips swaying, face already twisted like she'd smelled something rotten. "Ah, madame," one of the elders greeted politely. Clara quickly tried to explain. "They said father sent them, ma," but Sophia cut her off sharply. "So what are you doing in my house? And what exactly are you doing with her?" She pointed at Clara like she was accusing her of theft. "Whatever you people want, say it and get out of my house. I don't entertain nonsense." The elders exchanged uneasy glances. Finally, the eldest among them spoke calmly. "We have come from a nearby town. Earlier today, during our council meeting at the town hall, we noticed a car that had crashed into a ditch. Our young men rushed to the scene and pulled out a man who was gravely injured. With his last breath, he begged us not to waste time taking him to the hospital. He said he had nothing left to live for. Then he described this very house and asked us to tell his daughter, Clara, not to give up on life as he did. The words hit Clara like a thunderbolt. Her knees buckled, her chest tightened, and she screamed, "No! No, my father can't be dead! He promised! He can't leave me here alone with her!" The elders bowed their heads sorrowfully. "We are sorry, my child." Those were his last words. He passed immediately after. Clara broke into hysterical sobs, collapsing to the ground, her tears soaking into the rug. Sophia, meanwhile, looked like someone had just told her the price of rice had gone up. Not a shred of emotion crossed her face. Instead, she asked flatly, "Did he say anything else? Maybe about his properties? Bank accounts?" The elders shook their heads. No. "Well then," Sophia said coldly, clapping her hands as if dismissing beggars. "You can leave now. Thank you for your message. My house is not a meeting ground for grief." The elders, shocked by her rudeness, stood quietly and walked out. The moment they left, Sophia's lips curved into a twisted smile. She turned to Clara, her voice dripping with venom. "Well, well, little orphan," she sneered. "So now you're officially alone in this world. Your precious father is gone. Get ready, because from this day I'll make sure you regret ever being born." Before Clara could even wipe her tears, Sophia stormed into her room, dragged out her few good dresses and shoes, and carried them to the backyard. Clara chased after her in panic. "Please, Ma, those are all I have." But Sophia struck a match, tossed it, and the clothes went up in flames. She stood there, watching with arms folded as the fire roared. "This is my house," she shouted like a deranged queen. "No one, and I mean no one, competes with my daughter. Maya is the princess here. You're nothing." Clara fell to the ground, sobbing uncontrollably as smoke filled the sky. From that day forward, Sophia unleashed a new level of cruelty. If life had been bad before, it now became unbearable. While in the royal palace, in Kingdom Bravura, King Adrian had ruled for more than 30 years. He was respected for his wisdom and feared for his strictness. But the old man was getting weary, and the people were whispering, "When will Prince Edward return?" Prince Edward, his only son, had been sent abroad at age of 7 to study. Now, the customs of Bravura demanded that the prince return home and choose a wife. And not just any wife. The future queen had to be a woman born in Bravura, chosen carefully from among the eligible maidens of the land. The king issued a royal decree. All maidens of age must gather at the town hall. From them, the best 10 would be chosen to live in the palace for 3 months so that the prince could make his choice. "Choose your wisely," the king instructed his high chief. "The future of Bravura depends on this decision." But of course, money talks. Sophia had already bribed the high chief's greedy wife to make sure Maya's name was on the list. The morning of the interviews, Maya was buzzing with excitement. She wore a brand new gown, her hair adorned with beads that clicked whenever she turned her head. She twirled in front of the mirror and then barked, "Clara, don't just stand there like a statue. Clean my shoes." Clara rushed to obey, picking up the glittering shoes. Just then, Sophia walked in and shrieked, "What is this cursed child doing near you? Don't let her touch anything you'll wear to the palace. Do you want her bad luck to follow you?" Maya giggled wickedly. "Mother, relax. I'll be the future queen of Bravura City. Nothing can touch me." Sophia puffed with pride. "Yes, my daughter. Hail the future queen." As Maya strutted toward the door, Sophia followed behind, practically rolling out an invisible red carpet. Clara stood at a distance, tears streaming down her cheeks. But before they left, Maya stopped. "Mother, why should I carry my bag? Queens don't carry bags. I need a servant." Sophia's eyes lit up. "You are truly my daughter. May your reign last forever." Then she turned and barked, "Clara, get your ragged slippers and follow her. Carry her bag and make sure her shoes shine before she enters the hall." Clara stammered, "Ma, please, I haven't brushed or bathed. My clothes are filthy. Let me at least—" "Shut up!" Sophia thundered. "Get moving before I slap you into tomorrow." Humiliated, Clara slipped on her old, worn-out slippers, picked up her sister's handbag, and followed her. Maya walked majestically, head high, grinning from ear to ear. Clara trudged behind, heart heavy with shame. At the Bravura town hall, the chiefs and elders had arrived 2 hours earlier. The cleaners were still sweeping, so the maidens gathered outside, receiving tags with their names written down in the chief's book. Clara noticed Maya yawning in exhaustion, so she quickly found chairs for Maya and her 2 friends to sit on. Then she spotted an old woman struggling to sweep the compound. Clara walked up politely. "Mama, please let me help you." The old woman shook her head. "No, my child, you're here for something important. This is beneath you." But Clara insisted. "I can't just watch you struggle. Please, let me do it." The woman hesitated. "What if you become queen? You'll punish me for making you sweep." Clara smiled faintly. "If a queen can't serve her people, then she's not a queen. Please, give me the broom." Moved by her humility, the woman handed it over. Clara bent down and began sweeping, her worn slippers scraping the ground. Whispers and laughter filled the air. One of Maya's friends sneered loudly. "How embarrassing! Is she here to be queen or the palace maid?" Maya laughed like it was the funniest joke in the world. "Honestly, I'm ashamed we even share the same father. Look at her, sweeping like a beggar." But Clara ignored the mockery. She kept sweeping with quiet dignity, her face calm, her spirit unbroken.
While the courtyard was buzzing with chatter, then the High Chief finally stood up, puffing out his chest like a peacock about to deliver the speech of his life.
"Ladies, greetings to you all," he began,
his voice booming. "We have officially come to the end of today's selection. My team and I arrived early, and yes, we saw all of you as you came in. Nothing that happened here today was by accident. Everything was part of the test." The girls straightened up, adjusting their hair, trying to look extra important as if Prince Chucks himself was already watching.
"After much consideration,"
the chief continued, dragging the suspense like he was on stage,
"we have chosen 10 ladies to proceed to the palace. From among you, His Royal Highness will select his bride."
He began calling out names.
1, 2, 3.
The crowd clapped politely each time. The girls who weren't picked tried to smile, but their faces looked like someone had just stolen their lunch. By the time he announced the 9th girl, the chief suddenly frowned. "Wait," he muttered. "There's one more missing." He turned to one of the interviewers. "Where is the 10th girl? Find her for me immediately." The man rushed off only to find Clara outside, barefoot, sweat dripping down her face, sweeping dirt behind the hall like a forgotten housemaid.
"Wait, what?"
he asked, blinking. "Are you one of the cleaners? What are you doing here?" Clara wiped her forehead with the back of her hand and gave a humble smile. "Cleaner? No, sir. I'm not even qualified to serve water in this palace, let alone compete as a queen. I only followed my kid sister, Maya, here. She's the one that came for the competition. I'm just keeping her company."
The interviewer chuckled like he just heard the funniest joke. Well, my dear broom queen, the High Chief wants to see you inside. Confused, Clara followed him in, dust still clinging to her clothes. The chief stared at her for a moment, then without explanation pointed at the line of the 9 selected girls. Join them. The crowd gasped like thunder had just struck. The chief cleared his throat dramatically. All 10 of you must move into the palace by next week, Tuesday. Be here by 4 p.m. sharp. If you are late or fail to come, both you and your parents will face serious consequences. Here, he handed each of them a letter. Take this home to your parents or guardians. Clara's hand shook as she accepted hers. The letter felt heavier than a bag of cement because she already knew. Oh, trouble was waiting for her at home. Back at the house, Sophia was waiting with her usual wicked grin. She rushed forward the moment she saw Maya, clapping her hands. I knew it! I told you, Maya. You would be chosen. I even sowed seed money for this miracle. But instead of smiling, Maya plopped down on the chair and burst into loud, ugly sobs. Sophia froze. Maya, my daughter, what is it? You weren't chosen? Who dared to reject my princess? Maya just cried louder. Then Sophia turned sharply to Clara, suspicion already burning in her eyes. What did you do to my daughter? Clara kept quiet, then slowly brought out the letter she had been given. They selected me too. I'm expected at the palace next week. The house fell silent for a beat. Then Maya exploded. What? She screamed, snatching the letter. You? You of all people? You're not going anywhere, Clara. I will not stand to see you in that palace. Sophia's mouth dropped open. You were chosen too? She looked at Maya, who was already foaming with anger. Is this who? Yes, Maya shouted. I was picked second, but this one, this house rat, they called her last. Sophia grabbed both letters and read them carefully. Her face darkened like rain clouds before a storm. She muttered, Prince Martins has been in London for over 20 years. I'm certain he would never pick someone as useless as you. Then her eyes shot back to Clara. Listen carefully, you good-for-nothing. For the next 1 week, you are banned from bathing. No brushing teeth, no changing clothes. When you get to the palace, they'll send you back before you even cross the gate. That's a promise. Maya wiped her tears and suddenly began laughing like a mad woman. Oh, Mom, you're the best. I don't want her near me in that palace in any way. Sophia continued. If not for the letter, I would have gladly packed her off to her grandmother's village that very night. But since the palace required her presence, I have no objection. Still, you will regret ever being chosen. I, Fofuya, will humiliate you beyond repair. Unquote. The next 7 days were hell. While Maya was busy being polished like a diamond, skin treatments, makeup classes, and even learning how to sway her hips royally, Clara was turned into a donkey. Sophia piled dirty clothes higher than a mountain, forcing her to wash nonstop. She banned her from touching soap or toothpaste. Why waste good things on you? It's not like you're going to be queen. On the final day, Sophia woke Clara at 3 a.m. sharp. Get up, slave. Cook breakfast. Wash the whole compound. Scrub the pots and fetch water until your legs break. By the time Clara finished, she was smelling like burnt onions and dirty buckets. Meanwhile, Maya walked out of the house at 2:30 p.m. looking like a goddess, skin glowing, hair bouncing, teeth shining. Don't forget, Clara, Maya taunted, smirking. When I become queen, you live with me in the palace as my maid. At exactly 3:45 p.m., Sophia shoved Clara toward the door. Get out of my sight. Run to the palace if you can. You have 15 minutes left. If you bring me shame, you'll regret being born. Clara stumbled out of the house, looking ragged, sweaty, and broken. When she reached the palace gates, the gate man merely fainted. He blinked 3 times, rubbed his eyes, then asked, "Wait, are you one of the contestants?" Clara nodded shyly. "Yes, sir." The man shook his head in disbelief. "You don't even look like someone applying to be a palace cook, talk less of a queen." He sighed, then called another servant. "Please, take this poor girl inside. Give her a change of clothes before the other ladies laugh her to death. Put her in the last guest room." As Clara was led in, the gate man watched her go with pity, muttering under his breath, "If trouble had a face, it would be this girl. God help her."
By 7 p.m., the 10 chosen ladies were gathered in one of the royal sitting rooms. The air was heavy, like everyone was waiting for the world's biggest exam result. Nobody wanted to speak, nobody wanted to bleep too much. All they did was sit and pretend to be composed, though inside, they were already planning how to snatch the crown. Finally, the silence broke. One tall girl with too much confidence and red lipstick stood up, flipped her hair like she owned the palace, and said loudly, "Ladies, let's clear the air now. I will be the one sitting beside Prince Jukes when he comes in. That chair belongs to me. So please don't waste your energy fighting for what's already mine." The room went dead silent. The other girls stared at her like, "Did this one drink kerosene before coming here?" Mawa, who had been adjusting her gown with her usual pride, nearly choked on her anger. Her eyes sharpened as she snapped, "Excuse me? Who exactly are you talking to? Because if you think I came here to play Ludo, you're joking. Prince Jukes is mine. End of story. The rest of you are just here for decoration." The other girls gasped. 2 of them even covered their mouths in shock, secretly enjoying the drama. Before the insults could graduate into hair pulling, the big double doors creaked open. And there he was, Prince Jukes. The room instantly transformed. The ladies stood up so fast, you'd think someone pressed the remote control. Their eyes sparkled like Christmas lights, their backs straightened, their smiles wide enough to split their cheeks. Even Maya's anger melted away as she tried to look like an angel. Prince Jukes, tall and regal, walked in with the calmness of someone who knew he was the most important person in the room. 2 guards trailed behind him, their faces serious enough to scare mosquitoes. "Good evening, ladies," Prince Jukes said with a warm smile. "I'm pleased to meet you all. Before anything, I'd like each of you to introduce yourselves." One by one, the girls stepped forward. "My prince, my name is Cynthia, and may I say, you're even more handsome than I imagined." "My prince, I'm Juliet, and truly, your presence alone brightens this whole palace." Another girl almost knelt while introducing herself. Another blew a kiss. It was a whole parade of flattery. When it got to Clara's turn, she simply bowed her head politely and said, "Good evening, Your Highness. My name is Clara." No extra words, no sugarcoating, just plain and simple. Prince Jukes' lips curved into the faintest smile, though he didn't say a word. He only gave a small nod. When they were done, he clapped his hands once, and one of the guards stepped forward with a stack of booklets. "These," Prince Jukes explained, "are the activity schedules. We'll spend the next weeks together, sharing meals, having conversations, playing games, taking walks, and much more. Please study them carefully and prepare yourselves." The ladies clutched their booklets like it was a holy script. He continued, "And for your information, my guards, Edward and Harrison, are here to attend to any of your needs. I look forward to getting to know each of you better. Good night, ladies." With that, he left. The moment the door closed, the sitting room buzzed like a market square.
Excitement, gossip, silent competition. Maya wasted no time. From the first day, she had been busy making friends with the palace servants, especially the male ones. She was always smiling at them, always pressing small notes into their palms, in exchange for tiny bits of gossip about Prince Chooks. One evening, she pulled one aside and whispered, "Please, I need you to do me a favor. Go to my house and tell my mother to meet me here secretly." The servant hesitated until Maya slipped money into his hand. That changed everything. "Consider it done, my lady." Later that evening, Maya approached the palace gate, where one of the security men was lounging. She leaned close, gave him another bribe, and whispered, "My mom will be here at 5 p.m. Don't make noise. Just let her hide in your office until I see her. Okay?" The man chuckled, pocketing the cash. "Anything for you, madame." By 5 p.m., Sophia herself appeared at the gate, looking like a cat on high alert. The guard smuggled her into his office. When Maya saw her, she rushed in, pacing back and forth. "Mom, thank God you came. I couldn't sleep after writing you." Sophia frowned, her eyes darting around nervously. "Why? What's wrong? How's everything going with the prince?" Maya sighed dramatically. "Mother, I'm worried. These girls, some of them are even prettier than me. And the prince doesn't seem to notice me the way I want. I can't let this slip from my hands. You have to help me. Do something, anything." Sophia's face hardened. "Don't worry, Maya. You're my daughter. I won't sit back and watch another woman snatch this crown from you. I'll return in 2 days with a plan. A plan that will make sure you end up as queen." Relieved, Maya hugged her, her lips curling into a wicked smile as she imagined herself on the throne. Meanwhile, Clara was living a completely different life inside the palace. Instead of practicing smiles or bribing guards, she quietly joined the servants in their daily chores, sweeping floors, arranging chairs, even washing dishes. The palace staff tried to stop her several times. "Clara, please," one of the female servants told her. "You're not supposed to do this. You're here as a guest, not one of us." But Clara only smiled and replied, "I know, but I can't sit around while you're working. Let me help. That's who I am." Day after day, she worked side by side with them until the servants themselves began to see her as one of their own. Harrison, one of Prince Chook's personal guards, had been watching quietly. One afternoon, he finally confronted her. "Clara," he said firmly, "this has to stop. You're not here to sweep and scrub. You're here to compete for the prince's heart. Focus on that." Clara blinked in surprise. "Please, sir, I'm not trying to cause trouble. I feel better when I help them. They're my friends. Please, don't stop me." Harrison sighed. "If the king finds out, I'll be the one in trouble, not you." Her eyes softened and she pleaded once more. "Please, don't report me. Just let me do this. I promise I won't harm anyone." The guard shook his head, but there was something about her sincerity that touched him. Finally, he muttered, "Fine. I'll talk to the prince about it." Clara's face lit up with gratitude. "Thank you so much." But before the conversation could continue, a loud noise erupted from the end of the hall. The other ladies were at it again, screaming, shouting, dragging wigs. This time, Maya was in the middle of the chaos, alongside 2 other hot-tempered girls. By the time the guards intervened, the place looked like a local wrestling match. Harrison pinched the bridge of his nose. "This is ridiculous. Why fight? Can't you wait for the prince to choose who he wants? Do your best and let the outcome speak." The other ladies grumbled, but went silent. As the dust settled,
Maya noticed Clara quietly watching. Maya smirked, then raised her voice loud enough for everyone to hear. Clara, I would have invited you to my room to wash my clothes as usual, but fortunately, the palace already gave me a servant, so I don't need your services anymore. The girls laughed, some covering their mouths to hide their mockery. But Clara only smiled faintly, bowed her head, and replied calmly, That's wonderful. Still, if you ever need me, I'll be here. The hall went silent. For once, even Maya had no comeback. Her bed in her room at the palace, she whispered to herself, almost like a prayer, but loud than any trumpet in her heart. I'm not sick. I will succeed. Help me, Lord. Those words were her oath, her late-night contract with destiny. And if destiny didn't like it, well, too bad. Clara was ready to drag it by the neck. On 2 days later, Sophia, her stepmother, was busy stirring her cauldron of wickedness as usual. She had promised her daughter, Maya, that she would not return empty-handed. That night she handed Maya a tiny glass vial filled with a strange liquid that sparkled faintly under the lamplight. Take this charm, Sophia instructed with her usual tone of fake sweetness that could choke a cat. When you're face to face with Prince Chooks, smear it gently on your eyelids and wink 3 times. The poor boy won't know what hit him. He'll fall so deep in love with you that even his shadow will follow you around. Maya smirked, flipping her long braids like she already had the crown on her head. And if I make a mistake? Sophia's eyes sharpened like a knife. Don't. Remember, you're not in the palace to play Ludo. Fight for what belongs to you. Maya nodded and grinned, grateful for her mother's wicked brilliance. With the confidence of a cat that just saw a trapped mouse, she ran to Edward, one of Prince Chooks' guards. Slipping him some money, he whispered like a seasoned market woman. Arrange a private meeting for me with Prince Chooks. More money followed. When I hesitated, scratched his head like he was considering morality, and quickly abandoned it. Fine, I'll do it. When the prince finally appeared, Maya announced. She followed her mother's script word for word. She rubbed the charm on her eyelids, winked 3 times dramatically, and purred, Am I not beautiful? Prince froze for a second. Then his face lit up like a man who just discovered jollof rice with turkey after fasting for 2 weeks. You are very beautiful, my darling, he said. And just like that, bam, the prince was hooked. From that moment, he couldn't resist Maya. He shielded her, defended her, and treated her like the crown jewel of the palace. But oh, palace wasn't full of fools. The other ladies, Lovett, Agatha, Betty, Ada, and Precious, noticed the sudden closeness between Maya and the prince. They looked at each other, and without wasting time, made a pact. None of us is leaving this palace empty-handed. One way or another, a royal wedding must carry our names. Maya can't shine alone. While they were busy plotting, Clara was busy living her best underdog life. She wasn't chasing the prince with charms or catwalks. Instead, she made herself useful. She started hanging around the kitchen, washing and assisting the palace cook, Madame Dorothy. At first, Dorothy thought Clara was just another desperate palace girl. But when she tasted Clara's food one evening, she nearly dropped the spoon. The flavors danced, sang, and clapped in her mouth. Child, where did you learn this? Dorothy exclaimed. Clara smiled shyly. From my late father, Daniel. He always said, cooking well is not just about filling stomachs, but filling hearts too. Soon the whole palace staff were raving about Clara's meals. The cook, impressed, let Clara take charge of preparing dinner for 2 nights straight. Meanwhile, in the royal dining hall, the king took 1 bite and paused. Then another. And then another. His eyes widened as though he had just discovered pepper soup for the first time. Dorothy, he barked, wiping his lips. What is going on here? Your food has suddenly improved like never before. This is so good, I feel like increasing your salary on the spot.
Madame Dorothy quickly bowed. Long live the king. But this time it wasn't me. A young lady has been helping me in the kitchen, Clara. She cooked tonight's meal. The king leaned back, intrigued. Tomorrow, I must meet this Clara myself. On the next day, Clara was summoned. She walked in wearing her simple gown, nothing flashy, her hair tied back neatly. She bowed low. The king studied her carefully, then smiled. Young lady, what can I do to reward you for these wonderful meals? Voice was steady. Long live the king. All I ask is for the opportunity to work here as a palace servant. It would be an honor to serve you and your kingdom. The king stroked his beard, impressed by her humility. I will think about your request after the competition ends. Clara curtsied again, her heart soaring with hope. The day before the final selection, the palace grounds turned into a festival. All the ladies, Prince Chucks, and his 2 guards dressed in sportswear for a day of exercise. The prince raised his hand. Ladies, this competition has been an incredible journey. Tomorrow, I will announce my queen. But I also want to appreciate each of you, as my father, the king, has promised that every one of you will receive a token of 200,000. Gasps, squeals, and secret whispers filled the air. Even Maya's eyes glittered like diamonds. With a whistle, the prince signaled the start of activities. Jogging, running, squats. Some ran like athletes, others jogged like tired goats. The palace field became a mix of sweat, laughter, and competition. Afterward, when the crowd dispersed, Clara quietly approached Harrison, another palace officer. Sir, please, I want to stay here permanently. Help me secure a position as a palace servant. I'd rather keep working than return home. I want to be useful. Harrison raised an eyebrow. The king already said he'll decide. But tell me, are you not thinking about marriage? Shouldn't that be your priority now? Clara shook her head, smiling gently. Marriage is important, but I'm not ready. My priority is serving people with joy. If love comes, it comes. I just want someone who will respect me for who I am. Wealth doesn't matter. With hard work and trust, a good life can be built. Harrison stared at her, clearly impressed. You surprise me, Clara. You think differently. Your humility and dedication are rare in this palace. Clara bowed her head. Thank you, sir. Your support means so much to me. Her words carried no desperation, only dignity. The big day arrival. The royal event hall was transformed into a magical arena. Golden curtains swept across the walls. Chandeliers sparkled like 1,000 stars. And the air was charged with anticipation. Every lady's heart pounded. Every smile was fake, but fierce. And Clara? Well, Clara just held on to hope of the king fulfilling his promises to her. The stage was set. The game was about to become real. The royal hall was nothing short of a dream. Gold drapes shimmered, vibrant flowers lined the walkway, and chandeliers threw out light that danced like stars across the polished marble floor. Guests from neighboring villages and even distant cities poured in, walking with pride in their finest traditional attire. Their necklaces jingled, wrappers swept the floor, and agbadas swayed dramatically as though everyone came for a personal coronation. The anticipation in the air was so thick you could slice it with a knife. After all, today wasn't just a party. It was the day Marindale City, would meet her future queen. While the people whispered and adjusted their seats, entertainers filled the space. Drummers pounded rhythms that made hearts race while dancers spun and stamped until the hall shook with joy. Singers' voices rose to the rafters, carrying the spirit of celebration. Then came the moment everyone had been waiting for, the grand entrance of the 10 finalists. The ladies swept in gracefully, each one dressed like she was already crowned. Maya, Sophia's daughter, led the pack, swaying her hips and wearing a smile that screamed, "I already own the palace, you peasants." The others followed, each hoping to catch the prince's attention one last time. They settled at the high table, faces glowing with nervous excitement. Ura Kinosita, a man whose voice could command both fear and loyalty, stood from his throne. The hall fell into pin-drop silence. "Distinguished guests, loyal citizens of Marindale City," he boomed, his deep voice rolling through the hall. "Today is historic. It is a tradition older than all of us, a custom passed down by our fathers. My son, Prince Chalks, has returned from abroad to take up his royal responsibility, to choose the woman who will not only be his bride, but also the future queen of our land." Thunderous applause filled the hall. The king nodded with regal satisfaction and continued. "For the past months, the ladies have lived here in the palace, under watchful eyes, to ensure transparency. Today, the truth must be revealed. Edward, step forward." Edward, one of the palace officials, walked to the podium like a soldier going to war. His face was firm, his steps deliberate. "Good afternoon, my king, noble guests, and beloved citizens," he began. "Our duty in this competition was to uphold fairness. To achieve this, we installed cameras across the palace, inside and outside. Nothing escaped our notice." The hall erupted in murmurs. Everyone leaned closer. Edward cleared his throat. "Out of the 10 ladies, 5, Betty, Loveth, Ada, Agatha, and Precious, were discovered to be pregnant by newly hired guards." Gasps shot through the audience. Fans waved frantically, mouths hung open. Some people nearly choked on their palm wine. Edward didn't flinch. "Yes, you heard me right. Pregnant. Not by the prince, but by palace guards. But not all the ladies failed. 3 contestants, Joy, Peace, and Mercy, showed remarkable discipline and integrity. Although the prince did not choose them, their upright conduct will not go unrewarded. Each of them will receive an additional 300,000 on top of the 200,000 promised to all participants." The crowd clapped wildly, cheering for the 3. Meanwhile, Sophia, sitting in a corner, folded her arms tightly. She hissed under her breath. "Where is Clara's name? Why isn't that stubborn girl mentioned? She must have disgraced herself, useless child." Maya smirked, confident that her crown was only a few minutes away. She adjusted herself on the seat. Edward then raised his voice. Again. "Now, I invite Prince Chalks and Harrison to join me here on the podium." The hall nearly exploded with cheers as Prince Chalks rose. Dressed in white and gold, his presence was magnetic. Beside him, Harrison walked with a mischievous smile, clearly preparing to drop a bombshell. Harrison took the microphone first, his grin wide and shameless. "My people," he began, "I want to share a story. Please listen attentively. When I returned from abroad, I visited my old primary school friend in Hanky Town. To my shock, he had become a poor wheelbarrow pusher at the market, struggling to survive after losing both his parents." He paused dramatically. "But before I go further, Maya, please step forward." Maya leaped to her feet with all the elegance she could muster. Her dress shimmered, her hair bounced, and she strutted forward as if the red carpet belonged to her. Sophia clapped so hard her rings nearly flew off her fingers. Harrison continued, voice dripping with sarcasm. Here we have Maya, one of the contestants. She tried very hard to capture the prince's heart, even convincing her mother, Sophia, to bring a love charm to seal her victory. What she didn't know was that we replaced that charm with ordinary Vaseline. The crowd howled with laughter. Some clapped, others whistled. Maya froze, her face flushing red. But that's not all,
Harrison added, his eyes twinkling. The prince she has been charming is not Prince Chooks. He is in fact my old friend, the poor wheelbarrow pusher from Hanky Town, disguised as the prince. The fake prince smiled, waving shyly. Surprise, he said. I'm just an ordinary truck pusher, married with 6 children. The hall exploded in laughter. Women clutched their wrappers, men slapped their thighs, and even the drummers dropped their sticks in shock. Sophia's mouth hung open. Maya nearly fainted from embarrassment, her confidence dissolving like sugar in hot tea. Then Harrison dropped the real bomb.
My people, my name is not Harrison, he said boldly. I am Prince Chooks, the true heir of Martingale City.
The hall went silent. Then came a massive roar of disbelief and joy. Prince Chooks continued, his voice steady.
I returned to the country 2 months earlier than everyone thought.
I wanted to see things with my own eyes. I disguised myself as a gate man. I was there when these ladies first arrived. I watched them when they thought no one important was looking. I wanted to know their true hearts. He smiled warmly. And the one who has truly captured my heart is Clara.
The hall fell into shocked silence.
Clara, sitting quietly at the back in her modest dress, looked like she had just been struck by lightning. Her mouth opened, then closed, then opened again. Clara, Prince Chooks called gently, please come forward.
Meet your people and my people. This is the future queen of Martingale City.
The servants screamed first, then rushed at Clara, hugging and lifting her off her feet. Our queen! Our queen! Long live our Queen Clara! They chanted, carrying her high above their heads as drums rolled and trumpets blared. The crowd roared in celebration. Women danced barefoot. Men shouted blessings, and the hall shook with joy. But not everyone was celebrating. Sophia's eyes bulged. She stood, pointing at the stage.
No, this can't be. My daughter, Maya, was supposed to be queen.
Before she could say another word, her knees buckled. With a loud thud, Sophia collapsed to the ground. Maya stood frozen, tears streaming down her face. Her perfectly powdered cheeks were now streaked and messy. The crown she had already placed in her imagination shattered into dust before her very eyes. Meanwhile, Clara was crowned with love, laughter, and cheers. The humble girl who had whispered to herself in the darkness now stood in the light, destiny finally bowing to her. Hello, wonderful viewers. Life can sometimes humble even the proudest of people. Maya thought she was walking into royalty, but her pride and deceit led her into shame. The lesson here is simple. Never look down on anyone, and don't let greed blind you to the truth. Remember, destiny cannot be stolen. What is yours will surely find you. Just like Clara, who was lifted from nothing to become a queen. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more amazing tales. Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear from you in your own language. And most importantly, besties, never give up on life. Turn every rejection into a stepping stone, because your story is not over yet.
Bye for now.